Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the final word for Everton 3, Salford City 0 in the second round of the Carabao Cup. Everton through without any real issues caused by Salford City. 10 changes, which is, I think if it'd been under a different manager, some people might have been a bit angry. But 10 changes, manager put his faith in the players to go out there and get the job done. And in the end, that's what happened. Essentially, the job was done.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a few people moaning beforehand, to be honest, regardless of the manager. But it's like we said yesterday, if you can't make 7 or 8 changes against the League Two side with the players that we've got, then those players that we've got shouldn't be at a Premier League club. And Carlo Ancelotti went with 10, which was more than I thought. And he got the job done quite comfortably, 32 attempts at goal. Salford didn't really trouble us. You know, Virginia had one save to make, I think, in the first half. A couple of catches. And that was it, really. So, yeah, job done, move on. Was it a great performance? No. Could we expect it to be a great performance? All things being equal, probably not.
No.
But we won the game comfortably. And I don't think we've been able to say that too often in this competition when we've made changes that, yeah, we won the game pretty comfortably, because it's a competition that we always have a tough time in, regardless of who we've got. And last night, I think, was probably one of the most routine victories we've had in it, really.
Yeah, because, I mean, as well, very, very strange circumstances as well. We all know lockdown. First time, really, I've seen Everton play a night game.
A real night game.
You know, with no fans there. And it really did have that feel very early on of Salford had just come for a day out. And that's no disrespect to them. It just felt like it was a little bit too much. The whole thing was weird. I mean, anyone who was watching in the UK, we had Gary Neville, who's one of the owners of them, on the commentary for Sky, and so was Jamie Carragher. And Jamie Carragher just wanted to rip him all night about Salford City. It felt like it was a fan zone, and it just sort of, the whole thing just felt like a bit more of a friendly than do you know what I mean? They never really.
I think I said to you yesterday on something that with not having any fans there, it takes away that, like,
adrenaline,
the thing of like, we're gonna upset this big club, we're gonna come here and do that, because it literally does boil down to the levels of player. And you could see that early on. The worst thing when you're a team like Salford City comes to Everton, the worst thing you can do is concede inside the opening 10 minutes, and it's what happened. And from then they found it difficult. But what I would say about them is, okay, there was a couple of naughty tackles, but in general, I thought they tried to play football when they had the ball. They weren't like Lincoln City levels last season, who were, you know, going around trying to beat everyone. There was a couple of naughty ones. One was missed time. The kid who done Kenny, that was a naughty tackle, and the referee should have really sent him off because it was a bad challenge. But in general, I thought Salford tried to play football, and fair play to them.
Just going back to the 10 changes, obviously Michael Keane was kept in there.
Excellent, by the way.
No, I know. I don't know whether we would have made 11 changes if we'd had another centre-back, which would have been interesting. But
well, we probably would have, wouldn't we?
Yeah. But it was good, wasn't it? Because at the end of the day, I think what the manager was trying to say by that was, you know, a lot of those players, well, none of those players apart from Michael Keane played on Sunday. Not too many pre-season games. Good chance, you know, certainly by winning, we're through. We play next week, and then the fourth round is that the following week,
or week after, if we get
so
through,
for this group of players, they could have 3 games in 3 weeks, as well as like the players who are in the first team, and it gives that, it's like 2 levels of competition. I think by the time if we get to the fourth round, or even next week, there might be a couple more from the first team just getting rotated into them. I mean, yeah, but he's a player who's missing, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? But I'm talking about players who are who were playing the first team. There might be a couple who go in maybe or one or two next week, and then if
we might need to play our 2 centre backs, might we?
No, I know. Well, that's one of the big issues, isn't it?
So.
But it was good that they got a run out, and I liked that it wasn't. I liked that it was a case of you should be able to beat these. You're playing at home. There's no one here. You should all have enough. And I thought it was great that he gave Joe Virginia a debut and Konku a debut. I think that's sort of gone under the radar a little bit, that those two players were making their debuts at Everton, okay, in not great circumstances, no fans there. But that was a great opportunity, getting Kenny back into the fold, another star for Branthwaite, Anthony Gordon playing as well, Moise Keane up front. So a real good chance for a few players who I don't think they've got a right to, a lot of them, but might feel, I should be in the first team, but I need a chance to show what I can do under this new way of doing things.
Yeah, I mean, I'd done the starting 11 and I just wasn't convinced he'd play in Konku, but then you watch him last night and it was absolutely the right thing to do. And he deserved to play, no question about it. I don't know, I just didn't think he'd make that many changes, but then when you've got a squad as big as ours and you're at home to a League Two side, then we see other clubs do it. We've seen, we've bemoaned teams like but we've seen teams like Arsenal doing it and Liverpool doing it, and teams like I'm getting through comfortably, and United for years. So why shouldn't we, when you've got a big squad and we've got a lot of players on big money who played in that, should have been able to dispatch Salford. I think Virginia was fine. I don't think there was any moments where, to be worried about. I think Konku, for me, was man of the match. I thought he was excellent. I think against better opposition, maybe, and I know we'll look at him in a minute, but against better opposition, he might have to do a bit more defensively, of course, but I thought he was excellent. And then, Kenny done all right at right back. So, it was a good opportunity to give those players minutes. The players I was disappointed in were the players who have been in our first team, and it's not. Again, I probably a little bit harsh last night, straight after it, watching it, and because I was just frustrated that there was opportunities to be more incisive, and we weren't. It was only really, for me, the first 10 minutes and the last 20 minutes where we really pressed them back and went, no, we're the Premier League team, and we started pushing them back, and when we did, they couldn't get near us. So the middle bit of the game frustrated me a little bit, but because of the changes, maybe it's a bit.
Yeah, we started with loads of control, didn't we? And obviously we got the lead early on, and then you just thought, go and get another one now and settle everything down, and you can just basically do what you want. And I think that's what it was, wasn't it? It's that feeling of like, you got to be careful here. You just got to be a little bit careful dragging this game on a little bit. Only takes, and you get the same more cues. Their goalie looked great.
Made some good
he looked the
one from Bernard in the first half was.
He looks like he could play at a high level, and the commentators mention, he's great in penalty shootouts, and you're just thinking, all he's need is a spawny little knocking off a corner or something. Yeah. And that, you're right. I mean, it's a disjointed team, and I think the difference with me this time, whereas in other years, you're looking at a few first teamers and a few squad players maybe, and it's like I feel in other years you're worried, but this year I was more like, if you just go out tonight,
no excuse.
There's no excuses, right? Because the first team has done its job on Sunday.
Yeah.
We expect it to have a similar performance this Saturday. You're in there fighting for your lives. You're in there to prove that you want to be around, whether you're a youngster, whether you're someone like Tom Davis, who's a little bit in the middle, or you're a bit more of a senior player with, not long left on your contract. This is on you. This is on you for Everton Football Club to save or to show what you can do, to be on the edges of that squad, whether it be on the bench or whatever. And I was like you, a little bit disappointed at times that some of those players who are on the fringes just didn't give a little bit more of themselves.
Yeah.
And that's not like I'm not sitting there going, to the screen. I was just a little bit disappointed that they just didn't give a little bit more of themselves. Like, there's Moise Keane splits opinion. Last night, I think defenders should have been bouncing off him. And yet, I don't feel like he ever really got into the game to do that kind of thing. And that's what disappointed me about him. Scored the goal. People say he was unlucky to hit the bar. He wasn't unlucky to hit the bar.
Should have buried it.
Should have buried
it. Unlucky to hit the
post. The header was different. It was decent.
Yeah, that hit the post.
But for me, I think he should. People talk about, oh, he's only this age or that age. He's an Italian international. I think defenders should be bouncing off him as he goes past them. And I was a little bit disappointed in his performance. I'm glad he got a goal for his confidence and stuff, but those little things disappointed me.
From him. Wasn't enough.
Tom Davies giving away 5-yard passes to Salford players when really all he should have been doing last night is ticking it over all night.
I mean, I don't think he was terrible, Davies, but I just think he had a little spell in the first half where he was getting on the edge of the box and he had a great effort. He was unlucky. I mean, possibly should have hit the target, but that was one of our best moves in the first half. Good ball from Sigurdsson, lovely little first-time layoff from Walcott. And Davies ran onto it and swept it just wide. And that was the kind of football that they couldn't get near us. And then we stopped doing it. And it was like that. And I put it on Twitter. It was like, am I being a little bit arsed that I didn't think we played well? And a lot of people agreed with me and some people disagreed with me. I'm like, we've done this and we've done that. So just move, and it's not a case of, I mean, it's quite nice for me on Twitter, someone saying that, because normally I get people having a go at me because I'm over positive or I'm looking at the full picture and they want me to be stamping my feet and whatever. But I just felt a little bit, I can sit here today and go, yeah, maybe I was a little bit harsh last night watching it. But I'm only a bit harsh because I expected more from those players. I was looking at it thinking, if that was me, if I was Theo Walcott, and I'd just seen James Rodriguez come in and play the way he did on Sunday in my position, I've got a game on Wednesday night against a team that I know I can tear apart.
Yeah,
I'd be going at these full pelty and I'm going to show the manager that I'm a decent player, I'm an option, I'm an outball. And he just coasted through the game. And it's like, Sigurdsson was all right, don't get me wrong, he was all right. He stepped it up again towards the end. He was okay, but again, for me, too many safe passes. Too many passes back towards our goal. The same, and I think it was more noticeable last night because on Sunday against far superior opposition, we went the other way. We were going forward. Alan most of the time was trying to get us the other way. So was Decore, Gomez. Last night it was more reverting to last season, which was passing it back
and starting again.
But then again, the flip side to that is it was controlled possession, wasn't it? But I just felt like if we'd really moved them about a bit more and stretched them, we'd have...
I think if we'd gone for the throat a little bit earlier on, after we got the first goal, I think we could have got 5-6 last night.
I mean, to be fair, we've hit the bar.
I appreciate that, and I'm not.
So it could have ended up 7.
I'm not moaning.
I'm not moaning. Just talking about
not moaning.
fine tuning.
See, you got to be careful, like the way you get it across, because I think some people take it the wrong way.
Differently.
I'm not moaning that we didn't batter them. I'm disappointed in those players
that's me.
that they didn't want to go out and batter them.
It's not. I've said this before. We've sat here before and Norwich defeat at home, and other times when we've gone out and we've sat here going, that was terrible. The players turned up, they were terrible. They were this, that, and the other. We've sat here when we've won and gone, that was terrible. That isn't the case.
No.
We've won 3-0. We controlled it. We had 30. It could have been 10. The keeper's made 3 or 4 great saves. We've hit the post, the bar 4 times. We scored 3 anyway. Not saying that at all. Just saying there was a little bit of frustration from me on not the kids. Moise Keane. I'll talk about Moise Keane in a bit. But the others who I expected a bit more from, just because they kind of coasted through the game, and that's okay if those players had played on Sunday. You know, if that would have been like 8 of the team that played Sunday and we'd done what we did last night, and I'd be going, they were just getting through the game. They were simply managing the game. But for me, there was 10 changes, which means that, in fact, the fella who did play Sunday, by the way, was excellent.
Yeah, brilliant, Michael
He was
Keane.
excellent.
He was brilliant.
And there was no thinking from him. There was no coasting from him. And he's in the team. But other ones who should be going, I want to play in this team.
That's my
it
thing.
Frustrated me.
That's my thing.
We were controlled.
You're exactly right. The players who the players who you feel... Put it this way, right? And I might be being over harsh here, right? But we're going to talk about Nkunku in a minute, right? But him, for me, he looked like a player who actually has got the toughest job at Everton, basically,
probably,
to try and get rid of the person in front of him, who's our most consistent player, basically. He was brilliant. He wanted to show...
Who also came on and didn't go through the motions.
No, he was brilliant. And wanted to show everything he had, right? And yet on the other side, at right back, right, is a player that a lot of people feel like could be our right back. And yet I still felt like John Joe wasn't given everything. Like, I felt like he was playing within himself. Like there was, like...
And he shouldn't have been worried about the player he was up against.
And I'm not...
And yet, is that position's
People
available?
might go, he was fine. Yeah, I appreciate that. But people talk about John Joe like he could be our right back. And yet, I look at that left back and go, no, he could be our left back. I still think we need a right back. And that's what I'm talking about. It's not a disappointment in the performance. It's a disappointment in some of the players for just not taking that chance. Because if we want to become a really good team, we need players who are like, bang at it, bang at it. Like, I had people telling me that some of our players, they did really... I was like, no, you must be watching a different game. Because I want players dominating, so that they are ready to come into the first team if this needs to be. But, you know, listen, we've got the win. That's just, obviously disappointment with 20 minutes in or so, Branthwaite going off injured. Really throws...
Innocuous as well, wasn't it?
He got caught, didn't he? And then he tried to run it off. And then by the time he got...
When he knocked the ball back, though, it seemed to go. So that's a worry to me.
But he got caught, didn't he? He was coming around the corner and he got caught.
Well, hopefully, if he's got caught, hopefully it's an impact injury. And if it's an impact injury, then, and it's badly bruised, then it'll be a week, 2 weeks. My next hope, if it isn't an impact injury, is it's the lower part of his calf, which then will only be 4 to 6 weeks. If it's his Achilles, then that's a real worry, because he looked in agony,
in pain,
going off.
Pain.
And
so he went off, and obviously
scanning him today.
Dean come on.
But we got the goal. The goal was Anthony Gordon done well. Looked really lively at the very start of the game. Him and Nkunku linked up. We got the corner and the ball, good ball in from Gylfi. Good, Michael Keane done excellent. Great run, great header. 1-0, and you're thinking, right, let's take it from there. And we popped it off a little bit. And like I said, those lads will look at it and go, well, we've done everything we needed to do. We just kept the ball moving, and that's fine. And I know I've seen someone say to me, well, it was like defence against attack. But it was like walking attack against the walking defence. And I wanted it to be quick and sharp. I had a disagreement with Andy. I mean, me and Andy, the Piv, we see a lot of the same thing when we watch football. We do. I do agree with Andy a hell of a lot of the time. But he was like, we moved them round really well. I don't think we did move them round really well. We only really moved them round well in the last 20 minutes. I don't think we moved them round very well. But
it was interesting, wasn't it? Because we obviously got to half time and we come out second half and they got a little nice spell.
Yeah, they had about
a little spell of like where they looked like they were going to come in the game. And funny enough, Gary Neville actually said it in the comments. He said, this is the moment now where the game will start opening up. Salford will feel like they can go for it. But that opens the door to Everton, and that's exactly what it did. But Carlo, I think you'll see him on the touchline, and he was...
I was going to say, the biggest thing before anyone says is like critical of the thing is just watch the manager. Watch the manager's face. If the manager's face told you how frustrated he was.
Well, he was angry because he felt like he had to bring on a sub, and he didn't want to bring on a sub. He didn't want to bring on any of those subs. He was probably thinking, well, I've already lost the centre-back. I've had to put Luca Dean on. I don't want to put Richarlison or Dominic Calvert-Lewin on, and yet you're going to force me into this. So I think that's what he was going to be angry at. You're affecting my next game, never mind this game.
But also the passing the ball back. Yeah. The passing the ball. Yeah. We had the ball 3 or 4 times in the second half, about 10 yards outside the penalty area, and we went back to the halfway line.
But with about 25 minutes to go, I think one of the Anthony Gordon got snapped. and it made him.
It woke them up.
It got him angry. And from that moment on, Anthony Gordon was just like, because I thought in the first part of the game, his final ball let him down. He kept on just putting it into the box without actually having a good look.
A good look, yeah.
And I think after that moment, he just thought, I'm having a go at you.
Well, he'd had one run in the first half when he cut inside and bent it, didn't he? And the lad flicked it at it. He was going wide anyway, we got a corner from it. And that's the positivity of him. When he does that, he's got that ability. He can go either way, you see, because we'd seen him very early on get round the corner, and his final ball wasn't very good, but he run into a danger. And then he had the shot in the first half, but then he just went out the game. And it's like, have a little bit more. Yeah. And you're right, when he got that bang on the shin, it was like, it woke him up a little bit of like, right, all right then, it's that, is it? And then he started going at them. When he started going at them, he couldn't live.
And I think with Nkunku as well, as a pair, they felt like they could get up and down, no problem. And once, you're right, once he got going, you know, he destroyed them every time. You know, great ball in for the second goal, well taken by Gylfi Sigurdsson.
Great finish, yeah.
Just after Bernard should have scored. Should have scored.
What did you make of Bernard?
Loads of people told me he was amazing. I didn't see it.
He had 95 touches and created 7 chances. Right? So, no, but I'm with you. So, and I love Bernard. I do. I think he's a cracking little footballer. But I was frustrated by him because at times he'd dance past one and I'm thinking, yeah, this is you now. Yeah. And then he'd just pop it off and then I wouldn't see him again.
I think that,
but
if he put
he just started keeping us ticking over.
Yeah, but I don't think he was amazing. I just thought he'd done his job and I thought he should have scored.
Or at the target, at least.
That made it 2. And that was it then. And once, you know, Anthony Gordon's very unlucky. He's curled one. It would have been I think did the goalie get a hand on that one?
I don't know.
It was a great effort.
Tremendous strike.
No, what he did though, he started and just enjoying himself. You could see he was just like, and I think that's what I was talking about before. If we'd got a second in the first half, we could have put as many past them as we wanted. We created our own pressure, but I think that pressure came from themselves, where it's like, we can't lose this, we can't lose that. But that's the attitude, almost holding those players back. Like, how are those players ever going to get better? And it's the thing about passing the ball backwards. You've got to take chances.
Got to.
That's what good footballers.
Once the second went in, we did really. The shackles came off. Obviously, Jonjo had a cracking little first-time shot, just dipped over the bar. One for Schalke when it got rolled through, and he sliced it wide for Schalke. That'd have been Nestling bottom corner, wouldn't it? We had.
See, Brian Garside said Jonjo Kenny did not want to make a mistake and got punished for it on the pitch and called for it off the pitch. He can get more playing time in the season. A gradual takeover might be his plan. Yeah, but why would you be scared of Salford City? You've just been playing in the Bundesliga. You've just been playing against the best teams. You've just been playing in Bayern Munich. All right, Bayern Munich made them look like a mug once or twice.
But they're top European champions.
That's what I'm saying. So why would you be scared of Salford City? You've got to.
I just think you've got to take your chance.
You've got to take your chance. You've got to go. And I think that's what Anthony Gordon did, and that's what Nkunku did.
Well,
they took their chance.
Let's look at the stats for the game. Oh no, sorry, I haven't got the stats. We've got the Nkunku stats. So 87 touches, which is a lot of touches. 2 shots, 1 on target, 48 successful passes. 7 attempted crosses, only 1 was successful. 1 shots blocked, 1 passing accuracy, 84%. 3 successful dribbles, 2 interceptions, 1 successful tackle, and 2 chances created. And that's a performance from somebody who is trying to put a marker down, I think, and confidence in his ability. And Brian, what you're saying isn't wrong, by the way, but wouldn't you have expected, if it was you in that position and you see an aging Seamus Coleman, Seamus Coleman 31, don't get me wrong, brilliant on Sunday in the defensive act, but you're looking and going 31 years of age. Jonjo Kenny knows that Luca Dean came in and Leighton Baines was nailed. We were all terrified about Baines. We hoped Luca Dean would be able to be his understudy and then take over. Dean got his chance and took it and was in and has never looked back. Jonjo Kenny, if I was Jonjo Kenny, I'd be looking at that right back going, right, I'm only going to play when the manager feels like he can trust me. So I'm going to go in tonight and give a rip-roaring display so that he might not play me on Saturday, but in his mind he's thinking, he's an option for me. And then again next Wednesday at Fleetwood, go and do it again. Because I honestly believe If Everton get a bid for John Joe Kenny in the next 2 weeks, he'll be gone. And I still 100% believe that.
I look at it and think...
Because I don't think they're convinced.
You've got to impress the manager to be at the club, never mind getting the team. And that's what I'm saying. It's not a case of, like, I'm not saying he was rubbish. He wasn't rubbish.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't rubbish.
Far
He did his job. Did his job. But I wanted a bit more.
Did he do enough? That's the question.
Exactly. And I think that's where Nkunku did. And I think that's where Anthony Gordon did second half, where Anthony Gordon just got into the game and was like, I'm having this now. I'm having this. I'm not letting you kick me.
Especially for John Joe, just for the simple reason, like you just said, he's just come off a really good loan and playing in the top division in Germany and doing all right for Schalke. So I don't think I wouldn't have given him a 5 or anything like that. I thought he did his job without no one skinned him or anything. Thought he did his job, but knowing what he's like, there was one early on when he played a 1-2 with the cross and put a cross. I don't know if they got a corner from it. And that was what he's like on the overlap. That was the John Joe.
He put the cross in for Moise Keane
and he put the one
well.
thing.
But I just don't want...
There wasn't enough of that for me.
But Anthony Gordon just started enjoying himself. And once he started getting down the wing and with Nkunku next to him, he couldn't live with them. And I just wanted that a little bit more in a few other positions, whether it be John Joe, whether it be Theo Walcott. But it's good that it is the young players. It is good that it is Nkunku. It is good that it is Anthony Gordon. It is good that they're two players that the manager will be thinking, I've got no problems about you.
I mean, what did you think of Walcott?
He was terrible. He was more than terrible. He was abysmal. He should have scored in the first 2 minutes.
Yeah,
that header was awful. He should have just skimmed that and that was in.
He thought he was getting
well,
clattered.
He should know better.
He thought he was getting clattered. That was the problem.
He should have scored 2 minutes in. He had one in the second half that should have gone in. The goalie's made a save, which he should have buried.
Yeah.
He was abysmal. He was absolutely abysmal. And that
for a player who's done what he's done in his career, don't get me wrong, he hasn't been amazing, but he scored over 100 goals for Arsenal. He scored in cup finals. He scored hat-trick for England. He's done good things in his career. He just wasn't in the game against the League Two side. That was frustrating for me because Theo, when he clicks, is a threat. The only
thing I would say is that he didn't get a lot of the ball, and we did go down the left a little bit more heavily than we went down the right.
But that's mad because we didn't have Luca Dean playing at left back and we didn't have Richarlison. So we had Nkunku and Anthony Gordon, who were 2 kids, and we're still going down. They were, but on the other side, John Joe Kenny, we know, is a decent attacking fullback, and Theo Walcott.
Maybe it's muscle memory. Maybe it's muscle memory. We're so used to going down the left that the players just kept on looking there. But listen, Anthony Gordon and you know,
I thought Gylfi got into it the last...
I thought he was all right.
And they kept us ticking over.
I thought he kept us ticking over. He put that great ball in for Moise Keane when he hit the bar.
Should have scored.
And I thought every time
and he hit the post as well, didn't
every time he shaped up, he always looked like he was a threat.
He's a threat, isn't he? See, I've got no issue with Gylfi. If he's going to be part of the squad, I've got no issue with him. Would I sell him? Yes, if we got a bid for him. But I've got no issue with him being part of the squad because I think he's got the technical ability. I think if you put legs around him, he can play in our team. Not all the time, but he can play in our team.
No, I think
I think he will weigh in with goals.
I think coming off the bench, he's a threat. If he's higher up, I think he's better
higher up, isn't he? We've tried him in the middle. He's not good enough. He's not quick enough. He's better higher up the pitch.
But listen, we ultimately in the end, that last 20 minutes, we could have had 3 or 4. We got, Anthony Gordon wins as a penalty.
They are hop and skip.
Yeah. And to be fair,
I'd be worried that as a lander that do my ankle or something, but it was a really good penalty, to be fair.
And you know what? Fair play to Gylfi Sigurdsson.
Yeah,
giving him
that was good. It was good. I like that.
I think Anthony Gordon really wanted it.
Gordon wanted it, but it was like Gylfi's like, you're a striker, get off the mark, because nothing weighs on your mind more as a forward than I still haven't got that goal, and so it took the pressure off.
And it was a good pen. And
he was unlucky then, just after it with the header as well. It was a good header, that jackknife header. It was unlucky, beat the keeper. And then Gordon, you want him to get his first goal and he's wrapped it against the bar.
But that to me is, and I know sometimes you've got to wear teams down.
They had the shot that, was it Walcott won it when Keane got blocked and then he hit it and the keeper pushed it wide. It was Walcott, he should have scored that.
That's what he should have scored. But in the end, we've run out comfortable. They haven't really laid a glove on us at all, apart from a couple of crosses. One where the big lad went up against Luca Dean, and to be honest, I thought Luca Dean actually did quite well with that. He just leaned into him and made
nowhere
him
near it, did he? They had the towel.
They had one that dropped at 1-0.
And he skied
And
it.
he should have really hit the target.
Well, he was the lad who hit the target in the first half when Virginia caught it with the only shot on target. So, they, like I said, they tried to play, but we were very comfortable in that. And let's just reiterate it for anyone who thinks we're moaning.
No, we're not
we're
moaning.
We're frustrated with some of the players who didn't
yeah.
take their chance.
I'm
But as a team, and in terms of controlling games of football, they did it.
Frustrated by some of the players, not by anything else, and I think the manager was as well. Stuart Thompson says, I thought we were a bit disjointed at times and Moise Keane could certainly work on positioning, but otherwise I feel the team would have struggled last year. Alec Taylor says, ignoring his supposed potential, how much time are you going to give Keane putting in those performances?
We'll talk about him.
If he was older, he would be binned. I appreciate he took his pen well, but the ball bounces off him and he seems to react to things a few seconds later. Lee Winstanley says, enjoyed the last 20 minutes, but no urgency from some players. Keane doesn't seem to suit up top on his own.
No.
Should have scored the header, but glad he took the pen. Gordon was brilliant in the last half an hour. With some players we've seen, unfortunately, over the years, we always seem to lower our playing to lower league terms. Ability, Davis seems lost. And Steve Kelly says, I thought Gordon was good second half after a slow first half. I believe him working with the likes of James can only improve him. Where do you see him eventually playing, off the left or inside?
I don't know with Anthony Gordon. I honestly don't know, because I feel like he can play right. I feel like he can play. I think where he is, he likes to cut in. That's the kind of...
it's the default position for young lads, isn't it?
It's like the Vogue bit thing now. You cut in onto your favoured foot. When years ago you were right-footed, you played on the right. You were left-footed, you played on the...
There's not as many crosses these days,
No,
is
so that's the reason why. I think he could play through the middle, but I think he'd need someone with him as well.
You have to bulk up to play in the middle.
Well, it's the same at Moise Keane. They're not natural back-to-goal strikers. Dom can do both, where Moise Keane can't. But Anthony Gordon, that's what I'm saying, if you played him through the middle, it'd have to be in a 2, really. But I could see him in a 10, because he travels with the ball. He's a little bit like Ross.
But I think he has to bulk up for that, though, because he's got to be strong. Your players have got to bounce off you while you're running.
And he's got the height, hasn't he?
We've seen that The problem is, this is the problem with people of his size, because he's only young. And we've seen it. He went down and he thought he was going to get a penalty. But because he's slight, you only have to knock him and he goes off balance. That's why you have to bulk up. That's why players, I mean, when we had Ross, you remember how much he bulked up, is because you want to run with the ball and someone comes into you. You've got to be able to bounce and take it and keep going. So I think he's still got that, and he'll play wide till that changes. But he has got a lot of ability. It's just that final ball.
He's good in possession. He's good travelling with the ball. He's not lightning, but he's not slow.
He's like, no, what he is, though, he is actually really quick with the ball, though. He's
at his feet.
He moved the ball really well. And I think that's when you look at the other side, Walcott obviously used to be, that's the difference, isn't it? Walcott gets the ball and he just runs in straight lines. Yeah. And he doesn't manipulate the ball.
Well, Anthony had one early on, didn't he, where he just pushed it past the lad and went and left him. And so maybe that's something, but Premier League defenders are very quick. Yeah. So you do need a little bit more than that, and I think that's what Walcott's found in his latter years, that the pace that he had. You seen that Sunday with James. James isn't quick. He's not slow, but he's not quick, and yet the way he manipulated the ball always bought himself time, and he was able to travel with it. Walcott knock and run doesn't always work if you're not big and powerful, for the likes of Walcott. So, I mean, we've talked about Moise Keane here. Let's just, obviously Joe's done this, and what did we make of Moise Keane's performance? And I'm a big Moise Keane supporter. Anyone who watches this knows. Advocate. I am. I want him to do well. I really want him to do well. And some of it is born out of the fact that if he goes on to be amazing and he's not here, it'll be frustration. Some of it's born out of the fact that I know he's a young lad and he's moved from Italy and I see potential in him. The problem I have is, to play the role he played last night, I just don't think his touch is good enough. I don't think he keeps the ball. I don't think he gives us a starting position. I just don't think he's in the game enough. And therefore, you're always asked the question, if you're not scoring goals, what are you doing in a game? Right? And, people criticise Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin mightn't score goals all the time, but he's always a handful for the opposition. He's always working hard. Richarlison might not score goals all the time or might miss some good chances, but he's a nightmare to play against. He's a pain. Moise Keane is too easy at the moment to play against. I'm not saying he doesn't have good moments in games, because he does. One in the first half, he chased back and put a cracking tackle in the right back spot. It's like, all right, we'll do that regularly then, because that'll get you into a game. Having to put tackles in, it'll bring you up. I know for him it's probably frustrating, because I actually think, had we played 2 up front last night, and he'd have had Dom alongside him, I think he'd have had a lot more space. And he likes to face people up, Moise Keane. He likes to get up, be 1v1 and run with the ball and all that. When you're playing as the lone striker, it's not very often you're going to get the opportunity to face them up 1v1, because it's more midfielders knocking it into you. You've got to give it and go, or get hold of it. And a couple of times it was into him, and his layoffs were sloppy and they broke on it. So he's got a bit of refinement to do. He could have had a hat-trick. He hit the bar, he hit the post. He could have walked away with the match ball. Nope, and I'd have been delighted for the kid. I really would have. And I really hope he does well. But he's got to improve his all-round game. At the moment, he doesn't look ready.
I think, and that's the word, ready, isn't it? You know, I think we've always had high expectations for him. I remember doing the starting 11s last season, you know, for the first few games, and people criticised me, going, why have you got Dominic Calvert-Lewin in there? Why haven't you got Moise Keane in there? And at the time, you know, I felt like, well, this is a lad coming in from Italy for a start. Dom's deserves to be where he is. And it shows we're a year later, and Dom's an Everton striker scoring goals, and Moise Keane's still unsure. Moise Keane strikes me as a striker who really should be the 4th choice striker and not the 3rd. Right, because I just feel like, and I've said this loads of times, I don't feel like he does enough when he comes off the bench. No. And I think what's going to happen is, listen, it's great that we play next week, and I think he'll start again, and that's good. And we can get through that game. Then hopefully he'll have another game, the next week, and that's brilliant. That's exactly what you need. Game time, week in, week out. I think what's going to happen to him if he doesn't start having more an effect on the game when he comes on is, if we play 3 up front, what's likely to happen, especially with Anthony Gordon have a game like he did last night, is if, say, Dom goes off and Richarlison goes up front, it's Anthony Gordon will come on the left, and Moise Keane won't get any time on the pitch. So that's an issue for him.
It's got to be the first sub, hasn't he?
Well, that's the issue for him, isn't it? That's what he's got to...
Yeah, I mean, last night, 90 minutes played, obviously 1 goal, 1 shot on target, 3 off target, dribble attempted 4, successful once, hit the woodwork twice, missed 2 big chances, that's them. 37 touches, 69% passing accuracy, won 3 of his 8 ground duels, won 1 out of 2 aerial duels, lost possession 12 times, 2 fouls and 2 tackles. And that's the thing, the losing possession is the one, because if you're playing it as a 1 up front and it's knocked into you, you have to keep the ball for your team. You have to keep it. And he's a big, powerful lad. So he's got to use... You've talking before about Anthony Gordon learning how to use his body. I feel like he's got to use his body. You look at his legs, they're massive. He's a big, strong lad. So start using your body a little bit more. And for me, just this all-round play, he's just got to tighten up. And I think if he can tighten all that up, I think he can become an option. I think he'll score goals. Last night, he didn't really play very well. But he still, what I would say is, as a positive for him, he still got himself into dangerous areas. He hit the bar, the post. He had one in the first half where he pulled off the shoulder of the defender. All right, he mistimed his volley and it went into the floor. He maybe could have just pulled it down. And he had another one where he played a 1-2 with Davis and he just couldn't get his shots away. He was in good areas in the penalty area that he can score goals from. But it's like you said before, it's not just about that, because anyone could go on a pitch and end up in one of those areas. It's what else you do to affect the game. And I think as a centre forward, the way we're playing at the moment, it's no thingy, is it? It's no coincidence that his best performances for Everton in general have been when he's been up front with Dominic Calvert-Lewin, where Dom's holding it up and he can go the other way.
Creates space though, doesn't it? At the end of the day, it creates space for him as well. I think last night, I don't think we got players close enough to him. Either no one from midfield really went forward, and Anthony Gordon and Walcott stayed quite wide. So with more intelligence, don't get me wrong, with more intelligence around him, I think he'd do better.
Yeah.
I just think that, you're right, you just want to see a little bit more from him. He's been here for a year, and I know he hasn't had lots of game time, but he trains every day with these players. You just want to see just that little bit more. He's an Italian international, but you can't lose sight of that. You can't make excuses.
Like we've said before, it's not his fault. It's not his fault at all. But if he'd have cost 8 million and he was your third and fourth choice striker, you'd be going, he's doing all right. We just, maybe another 3 or 4 months he'll be ready. But at the moment, and this isn't his fault, by the way, but at the moment, he's our third choice centre forward, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he cost money that, for 20-odd million, 25 million quid, we need someone who's ready to come in and affect the game. Now, I'm not saying he won't be, because like I've said, he scored last night, and that might be it will be a confidence with your centre forward, you're judged on goals. For all we know, he could come on Saturday and score, play with better players, get a goal, and it's great. I hope he does, because I'd love nothing more than him to just go on a run of scoring goals, and I'd love to be able to go, the manager to go, I don't know who to play today. Tom,
that's what we want, isn't it? And that's what we want. We want that. If there's a drop-off, which there will be during the season, of course there will be drop-offs.
He's a young lad and he can get better, and he's training every single day.
Leeward Stanley says, you've got to play balls through to him. Balls up to him don't seem to work. But yes, getting more motivated would help him. His confidence is probably low.
The goal will help him, Lee, which is good.
I don't know whether he looks like frustrated in himself sometimes, doesn't he? But you just want, and you're right, I think he's a player who's been used to facing up to the goal. And when you're playing one up front, you've got your back to goal. And if the ball bounces off you, and next minute you're making, and if the ball's suddenly going the other way, that's massively frustrating.
Look at him for Juve. He was up with like Mandzukic and people like that, and he was getting chances that facing the goal and running with the ball, whereas, like you say, it is back to goal. And you said it before, no one's travelling with the ball in that area where he can slip, he can make a run and he's in. It's because the midfield, it was all side to side. I don't think it suits him, and he does become a little bit frustrated.
I think the big thing was, if he gets a good first touch, I think he's got enough then to spin and run at people.
So
but his first touch last night was really, really heavy. It'd be interesting to see what he's like next week. I expect him to start. Let's just have a couple of questions, couple before we go. Matty Lamb says, Michael Keane seems to have got his confidence back in his performance. He was excellent. Young Dean just feels too sluggish for a lone striker. Not enough energy for me.
Maybe,
Steve Kelly says, my patience with Theo is up. I would be shipping him out from the window for 2-3 million. People give him stick, but at least Balassi tries to influence games.
I honestly don't think they'd reject it, Steve, but it's like anything, isn't it, mate? But at the minute, we're reliant on people coming to us for the players. I think the fact that article went out in 2 different papers, and Joyce has said it as well, about who's available, I think that's maybe Everton going, we'll listen to offers for these players. And we're seeing a lot of teams panic now, aren't we? Starting to just try and get players. So maybe some will come in for ours over the next fortnight. Because I'm sure Carlo,
but also players will start.
Wants more.
Players will start understanding their position at the club as well. And they feel like they're getting frozen out, or they're not going to get game time, then they'll look to go as well. So, listen, I imagine a lot of that team will get a chance next Wednesday night against Fleetwood, and if they get through that, not long before they'll get another game.
The draw's today, isn't it?
The draw is today,
So let's hope we get the home tie against Luton.
Let's just get through against Fleetwood, as first, and then we'll worry about that. But these players have got a chance to play games of football in the next few weeks. It's on them. It's on them to get through the next round and then get to the next round. So we got through, and
comfortably.
And Konku, brilliant. Really enjoyed watching him, and the fact that this lad wasn't supposed to be our backup left back, and it was supposed to be Baines, obviously sitting in the stands with his mask on. And
did someone tell him the camera was on him, because it got even smaller, didn't it? The
phone
gap
was just like that. So fantastic. He looked really good. Anthony Gordon looked good in front of him. So, and as I said, Virginia got to make his debut as well, which is good. And that's interesting because that looks like he's the clear backup goalkeeper now, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
Lairstall, I think he'll go in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, Denmark, they're in the Euros and he wants to go, so that'll be
interesting. I could see us bringing in an inexperienced goalkeeper on like a free or something.
Yeah, maybe. Ben Foster.
Don't start saying things.
No, it's not Ben. No, I'm laughing because we'd said
no.
Ben Foster, and then he said, didn't he? His kids were going, "Are you going to Everton?" And he was like, "No."
I wish.
Yeah.
There you go. Let us know your thoughts in the comments on the game. Give this video a like. Subscribe if you haven't already. And if you want to watch these videos live, you need to join us over on Patreon. Get your comments read out during the show. The link is in the description. Thanks for watching. See you later.